What other positions can you play?
Test 9, the best that Mike Phillips ever played against. That's what he said. I was the best halfback he ever played against. And you played 110 tests at 9. Anyway, sorry, it's not about us.
Yeah, but still, it's amazing. I was along with a lot of other great players, and like I said, grateful for it. But it's just
so wait, mate, he's saying the right stuff.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm almost starting to believe him.
No,
Played well that game. I remember watching it.
Yeah, the boys played well. No, they did. The boys. I don't know. Quade got that kick in that first game.
We're not interviewing the boys here.
Yeah, credit to the boys.
Yeah, like, come on.
Summer, yeah? Credit
There's
to the boys.
so much of this. We get it. You love the boys. Credit to the boys.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Welcome back to Tokyo and Shinjuku. And we are very lucky to be blessed by Samu Kerevi here today. How you going?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Guys, I mean, known Samu a while. What's sort of your first memories of coming into contact with him?
I remember it was 2014. I think he was playing down at Jeeps. He was he's making a big impression on the club footy scene. And I remember a lot of us would take notice. And he'd come in and he started training with us. He was picked up by the Reds, and yeah, you just saw something special right from the get go. Big boy, good ball carrier, a little bit rough around the edges, a little bit tubby at that stage. But someone had a big appetite to want to improve and work hard, and it's no secret, or it's no surprise that he's sort of gone on the trajectory that he has in terms of his footy career. But I think above all, he was always a good man right from the start. Good fella.
Gits, what about you? What was your first time meeting Samu?
I think 2016, you came into Wallaby camp, didn't you?
Yeah, 15.
Was it 2015 before the World Cup?
Yeah, before the World Cup.
We were obviously trained together. I think Snapchat was pretty big around that time. And then I just remember from that, just kind of joking through Snapchat a little bit. You're able to get comfortable with someone, especially like younger players as well. Like being an older guy, you try and make them feel comfortable. But then we got the opportunity to play together at Suntory 2019 after the World Cup. He came, but the season got cut short because of COVID. But yeah, it was obviously a lot of respect for him as a player, but as a person as well that Will touched on. He's always genuine, nice guy, a lot of time for people, and obviously got really strong beliefs as well.
And Samu, for you, when you first came into that Reds environment, what was that like as your first probably professional experience?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I think at the time there was about 5 centers ahead of me, just in my position, and Benny Taps definitely took me under his wing, along with Will Genia. Digby, I think it was his final year, and but I talk about it a lot to the younger boys now. Like I always tell William, I feel like a vet now.
He's a vet.
Talking to the old guys, still getting older now. So like times have changed in terms of, I think, the way some boys learn and some boys taking information and critical information. I feel it can be a touchy subject these days, but I think when I came through at that time, you had guys that came through in the old ways where it was really tough love, but honest love, which is something that it grew on me. And both these guys that hold that, that standard that's really high. And like I remember a vivid memory of Willie like going off of me after one game. We lost the Sharks, I think. I tried to did something silly at the 22. I tried to kick it off, went off of me, and I was pretty upset. And then after, he came and he told me. I still remember it because he told me in the change rooms, you know why I got you a training, because I know you'll be good one day. You strive for that. And when you see it from that way, when a guy that's done a lot for the game holds you to that stead and pushes you to that stead, it makes you understand. But a lot of players can take it the wrong way. You can take it as in, he's just trying to have a go at me because he's a big dog. And I felt when I came in 2013-14, that preseason, I was injured, so I had something to prove to the guys, and yourself, Drewy, even Adam Cooper. When you guys came through, it's different as well to where the Wallabies team is now. And there's positives in both, but I think the culture has shifted a lot compared to what it was when I came through, and then when I re-entered again in 2021, it was definitely different. And guys do take in information well when they've created a bond. I can go at Lenny now, I can go at Hunter, because I'm not trying to have a go at them because I'm a big dog. I'm going at them because I want them to push themselves and to push me so we can be a better combo in the centers, because then it'll just benefit the team. But again, I had to build that relationship and know that it was coming from a place of like love, I guess.
What did you do wrong for this idiot to go off on you?
It was a quick drop out.
Yeah.
So we were
Trying to get the ball back, doing the
trying
right
to get
thing
back.
for the team, it sounds like
But
to me.
I fucked up the kick and they got it back and we lost the ball.
That sounds all
No,
right.
but- So he's right. Like I remember, it's interesting you talk about how people take on board information differently. I remember I was always hard on you for exactly that. Like I knew you were going to be a very, very good player, and you've obviously become a great player. But I also, in the little bits that I'd spent with you, I knew you'd be able to take it the right way.
Yeah.
Like I would never go at someone that I don't feel is going to take it.
Yeah.
And I was probably a little bit stubborn back then, where I felt like if you couldn't take it, then you're not going to be at that level anyway. So you shouldn't be. Which is probably the wrong approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the same.
Yeah, well,
but-
I grew up around you.
But it's
Yeah,
also
exactly.
like you're
It's
going to
been
get
passed
tough
down.
love from coaches as well.
Yeah.
Or do you, like, at some point, if you've not played well, how do you tell someone
Well,
they've not played well, you know?
Well,
like,
that was the culture, like, especially him and Quade. And I speak to Quade about this all the time. I'm like, boy, I'm actually glad you two changed, because if you didn't, I don't know if like the players these days could take the type of mentality you guys had back then.
yeah, you've
Like,
got to adjust with the
yeah,
environment.
with the time.
I
with
give
the
it that.
I think it's more the time. Like the environment's definitely changed. But I remember our first couple of sessions, and I was injured at the time, and Chrissy Kundrani was on the wing. And I always tell people this, like Willie and Quade at that time was just like perfectionists. Like everything they did was perfect. Even if they got it wrong, it was still perfect. And then they would let you know about it. And I remember Chrissy...
You like Griegs.
Yeah, but like they wouldn't do anything wrong. And even if they were wrong, it wasn't wrong. Like, you know, so you just
they're
had to
not wrong.
take it. Like,
Yeah.
but at the time they were performing and holding that
Yeah.
standard at all games. So you couldn't like really.
They've kind of earned the right.
Yeah, they earned the right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Like these days, if you've earned the right, it's still like, nah, show respect. But it's like, well, they've been through everything we've
Yeah, they
done,
kind of
even
clocked
in a
that. They
worse
did that.
place,
Yeah.
and came out the other side. So it's like you kind of give them respect. And like we talk about big dog and little dog, it's not there, but it's like it is there because they've earned it. Like in a positive way. You just got, it's just the way you take it. You know, the guy sitting at the back of the bus, you know, you don't sit there if you haven't played those caps. You know, that's all changed now. Whereas that time, like I remember Chrissy Quade threw this long ball, like an over ball. Chrissy was just to catch it. Chris was trying to catch it and put the ball down. He knocked it on, and Quade just told him like "FO home." Like the coaches didn't say anything because that's just the standard. Like if you can't simply catch those things, then you shouldn't be here. Like what you're saying. Like that was 2013, 15. Like if you can't hack it, leave. But now, like it's like
Yeah.
it's
all right. Like,
See,
it's a hard balance.
I feel like there has to be a balance though, because it's the same thing. It's like you got to be able to give people hard truths.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's high performance, right?
Yeah.
You're
getting judged on that.
Yeah, you're getting judged on
Yeah.
that. So like, I want you to perform so that the team can perform, so that I can perform. But then I think it comes to what you're saying is like you got to build bonds first to be able to then have those honest conversations. I was telling the boys a funny story about when I'd always do extras after Tuesday sessions running.
Yeah.
And I was saying all these young boys,
After we've
yourself,
done fitness,
Chrissy,
by the way.
they were doing nothing on the sideline after the session. I was like, man, I've done this, I've done that, like, and I'm running.
Yeah.
What's your boys' excuse?
Yeah.
But then from that, you boys would jump in every single time, every Tuesday, and we'd do some running.
As soon as Willie got on the line, you kind of just like you got to do it.
Is he gonna get?
But
on
it taught me like work ethic. Like you know if you haven't done enough. Like you know if you're not where you want to be in terms of conditioning. And
Do you know though, as a young kid, if you've got no experience, you kind of learn. It's like even so for my kids, I talk about my middle one. He'll always follow what my older one does, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But you just kind of learn habits from elders a little bit.
The big thing is like the mental approach to it. Like I said, the culture's changed from school. They're the superstar at school, you know, and then they come into a program and they're still a superstar. It's like, nah, you got to earn it. Like,
You go back down to the very bottom.
you got to go back. You go pick up the pads after training. You go, like, don't need to be asked. That's just, it's not a big dog, little dog thing. It's just like, that's the things you do, you know, as a young fella. You clean up, pick up the cones if you can. And I try to still do that now as I'm older, just to like really humble myself to be like, hey, this is what helped me get to this work ethic I had. So when I finished conditioning on my own, there's other guys, you ask the S&Cs, like, do you need this picked up? You know, especially here in Japan, like, you know, if you can help, even though they've got 1,000 helpers here, if you can help, like,
No, that's just at Suntory, not a Kitetsu.
You've got to carry the bag.
Yeah, I'm carrying the bags.
You've got the money though too.
Yeah, full of cash.
See, at Suntory, a lot of people play for love, so they're not getting the
There's no
same
money
yen.
there.
Mate. Well, let's compare our bank statements, guys, and we'll see, eh?
I'd love to.
You're retired, so it's different.
Samu, that first season with the Reds, so you came into the camp and you were in there for a while, and you didn't get to make your debut for quite a few weeks.
Yeah.
What was it sort of like, I guess, having to bide your time, and then when you finally did get named in the team?
Yeah, I had like a PCL injury that took me out for 12 weeks, and the first trial match I came back, I'd done my syndesmosis. So it was hard because like you're training with the boys, but especially in rehab, like everyone knows, like it's just feel like isolated. But I was just waiting. I just soaked in all the information from Benny Taps. I think Mikey Harris was still there, John Lance, all those boys, Anthony Fanga'a, like they were all still there. But in my head, I was just like, one day I want to take someone's job. Like not in a cocky way. I just wanted to play, and I just knew if I just soaked in all the information I can get from the boys, work hard on my body to get it right. Just wanted one opportunity, and that opportunity came, unfortunately, through injury to Eddie Quirk. But it was kind of a lifeline for me, because then the career just kind of went from there.
Yeah. And do you remember that debut game?
Yeah, against the Highlanders. It was Willie G's 100th. My first year 100th. Had Indigenous jerseys. I remember getting a call, I think, just on Captain's Run Day, because Quirky went down, I think it's his ACL or something. He did his knee off catching a kickoff, and I thought Richard Graham was, taking the mickey out of me. But he said, come in and you sit on the bench. And it was funny the way I debuted, because I was, when you debut, you play like 10 minutes. But I ended up playing almost 40 because Taps had an injury just after halftime. And then the following week,
And you started
20
against
minutes,
Force, eh?
And then I ended up starting
Yeah.
because Anthony was out. So I ended up like progressing pretty well through those games and got a lot of game time.
Yeah. And that,
Still nerve-wracking.
Got a double against the Force too, didn't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
One of them.
I think so.
I can't remember.
I told you, fake humble.
Oh, mate.
He knows, he knows.
Yeah, I think so. And off air, he's like,
Oh yeah,
I'll check.
it's been a long time. I can't remember, but he remembers everything that leads up to it, but not the 2 tries.
Yeah, the
No, not
trajectory
the
of it all, he remembers.
Not the games, just the boys.
what was that 100th like for you, Will?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was obviously a special moment. But also special to obviously share with someone like him, who I've got a lot of respect for him to get his first game. And yeah, fortunately for the both of us, we both got a win.
Against the Highlanders after a long time. It's a good game. He killed it, obviously.
Gits messaged me after the game saying, big game player, well done, 100th game.
It wasn't meant for you. It was
man,
meant
of,
for
man,
Samu.
man of the match.
meant that for
But now I
Samu.
just learned, it wasn't meant for me.
And I mean, what was it like, Samu, that second year going into the team, as you say, trajectory, you started going up, you were sort of playing every week, you were moving between 12 and 13?
Yeah. I think the NRC season set me up,
Yeah.
because I hadn't got a lot of game time and played at NRC and obviously won 2 titles.
Back-to-back champions.
Back-to-back champs, undefeated season. But we obviously won that. So it just kind of set me up for the following season, just like getting game time over a couple of weeks and the training load and all that. But that helped for that 2015 year, and obviously just to be part of that squad and try to have a really good year for the Reds. That was just really important to me. I didn't try to think too far ahead, because there's a lot of centers ahead at the World Cup at the time. So I was just grateful to be around. I think I was really blessed to be around really good players that I could learn off.
And talking about sort of the education you get from those sorts of guys, you obviously had a few good coaches at the Reds as well. I think Richard Graham was there when you started, and then you had Nick Stiles and Brad Thorne when you finished up. What were they all like as leaders?
I went through like I think 4 or 5 coaches at the time. I always got a lot of respect for Richard for giving me the opportunity to put on the Reds jersey. But like I said, I got a lot of learning from the boys in the team, a lot of the vets in the team at the time, and I learned a lot more from them because of everything that was going on. So I was really, truly grateful for that. Learned a lot from Stilesy in that NRC season, just about like the team and how it's important to be connected in that way.
And what about Brad Thorne? He's been there a long time now.
Yeah.
He's going to finish up at the end of the season. What were your experiences like with him?
Yeah, I think he was the first guy to tell me that I should switch to 12 like fully, because I think I would play 13 the whole year at the Reds, and then every time I'd come into the Wallabies I played 12. He was kind of trying to compare me to Ma'a at the time, and he's obviously played with him, and big inspiration to me, just the way Ma'a transitioned from like a big ball carrier to not a playmaker, but a guy can shift, guy can kick. So he was something that I wanted to get my game similar to and just try to excel in that space. And Thorny was probably the first coach to just back me in that space and tell me to, work on my skill set more. And yeah, I got the backing of him, and obviously given the opportunity to captain the side as well, along with Stolzy, and forever grateful for that opportunity. So yeah, excited to see him leave, but he's leaving a big legacy. Obviously winning that championship for the Reds, and obviously went well with the under-20s boys as well.
You just touched on, like, obviously captaining the Reds, and you obviously vice captain of the Wallabies at 2019 Rugby World Cup. Moving forward, I'm sure you'll have a big role from a leadership perspective with the Wallabies. What are some of the qualities that you think are important, especially now because you have a bit more of an understanding of what it was like old school and like sort of new school now?
I think the one biggest thing is the standards. You can't shy away from it. I think the hard thing for me when I was a bit younger, me being the young guy and having to tell like a guy like Quade, like, you're stepping out of offside here, trying to tell Carmichael, like, it's so daunting for me because I'm way younger than them, but I've got the C next to my name. But I never looked at it as that I was a captain, I'm up here. It was more just wanting to have my best season and have my house in order. Making sure that when I came to perform, I knew my knowledge, my detail, and then helping other guys prepare, especially the start of the week. The back end of the week was trying to be a bit more selfish and knowing that I had to do a job first before the captain, before the big names and that. So that was, I think, in terms of leadership, it's definitely not what you're just always saying, but you've definitely got to be standing by the standards that you guys set as a group and as for yourself, and then moving forward, just playing the house down. Like, you can't be the skipper and not being one of the best players on the field. I find it's always going to be hard when the skipper doesn't play well. But I just parked that and just worked hard on my preparation. But yeah, I think the hardest part was trying to hold people steady, and even my mates, like my close mates. I had a blow up with Luke Hahn, who's one of my best mates, and at the time for him leaving the game early, and me as a captain having to sit there with him and tell him, like, what he's doing is not what our team stands for. And even though he didn't understand at the time, we sit back and laugh about it now. But those are the conversations where I feel, as a leader, you've got to stand firm on your word and stand firm on the team standard.
Just before, you're talking a little bit about Ma Nonu, who's obviously sort of, well, probably the top number 12 in the world scene, certainly professionally.
Oh, no, come on. We can stick with Ma, I think, yeah. Keep going.
I mean, as a young guy, is he sort of the model for a ball carrier who can transform his game into sort of, being able to a little bit of a jack of all trades?
Yeah, 100%. I think when I first came to the Reds, I loved Benny Taps because he was a bigger center than a lot of the guys were going around. But I definitely based my game off Ma throughout, watching a lot of YouTube clips. But I knew for me, because I was a ball runner first, I had to not shy away from that. I feel like a lot of 12s can, if you're not a ball carrier, like Gits is a great, skillful, one of the most skillful 12s I've ever seen. I always call him the GOAT because I find that he can play any position, which is really hard for myself. I can only play 12, 13. But when Ma came on the scene...
What other positions can you play?
Test 9, the best that Mike Phillips ever played against. That's what he said. I was the best halfback he ever played against.
Do you know he played halfback for Wallabies?
I went on tour.
I don't feel like that's much of a compliment, but anyway.
I know, but you used to ask me what other positions I played. Yeah. I said I started at 9, and I got told I was better than 9. And you played 110 tests at 9. Anyway, sorry, it's not about us.
Yeah, but still, it's amazing. But so yeah, just watching him develop his game, but he stayed strong to his ball carrying skills and footwork. And then he obviously developed that kicking and passing game and just became like a big threat. It just really inspired me to like not be, I guess, Fijian word is mandua, like you're shy. And I think you're shy to like do kicking when you're shit. I didn't want to be shy, and Mick Byrne would take me when he was with part of the Wallabies, and he'd tell me stories where him and Mata would go to the park because he was too shy to do it in front of the boys. And the boys always give each other crack, but I didn't want to be shy from that. I wanted, if I was gonna do it in the game, I had to practice it over and over in training, and I do it at training. So something that inspired me definitely was Mata, seeing his transition, but still being a powerful runner. yeah, I just wanted to be kind of like him and growing my game from there.
Yeah. And did you get the chance to play against him? I don't think you would have for Test rugby, but Super?
Yeah, Super. I played him against the Canes. We played him at Suncorp. Him and Conrad Smith, to go against those two, who were the All Black, Premier Centers as well, was it was really humbling.
Yeah.
We went against him too many times. Didn't win too many.
No, well, I had a bad halfback, but no,
Yeah,
but
you would've
it's
never
true
been
though.
good halfback.
When you've got someone that develops their skills like that, like defensively as a small centre, when I was playing, like it's a big ask to defend 1-on-1. But now when you think he's not just going to carry, like he may shift, you've got like two things to. And if I'm half in between trying to tackle a big body like that, like it just adds so much more. Like so, yeah. I mean. I saw the way he transformed each year. Like there'd be something new that you've got to worry about with Ma'a.
The thing I reckon that made him like almost impossible to defend was then when he began to kick. Because you know what it's like if you kick from 10, it's a little bit easier for your backfield to be able to read because your wingers, it's only one pass off the 9, they don't have to come up as much. Then you get that second pass and you know someone can kick, but as soon as you get that second pass from 10 to 12, your winger has to come up a bit.
Yeah.
And if he can kick and he hits that space, when he started doing that, it was just tough because then your wingers sit back. Then he was good enough to then see that and play the extra transfer to Conrad or whoever it was.
His
that
little
side.
couple.
Yeah, and then it's so hard to defend, and then off the back of then still be able to take the line on.
Yeah.
So just looking at, two international class midfielders here. Who do you guys consider to be sort of the best number 12 maybe of all time or professional era?
It's a Kiwi asking us.
We've got one.
Yeah.
No,
I'm gonna be honest, not trying to be fake humble, but we've got one world class. I'm still trying to get there, but played more.
No, it's hard because
Timmy
I never
Timmy
got to
Horan
play
was
with Timmy
bloody
Horan.
good.
Obviously being an Aussie, he's won 2 World Cups. It's hard to go against that. But then I've also, it's really hard. You even hear this debate like with NBA players. You talk about who was the best. Eras are so different because the styles are different. So I think from around the time when I was playing, you'd probably say Ma'a was the number 1. Like before him, Timmy Horan maybe, but after Ma'a,
Yeah.
looking at him right here,
No.
with his drop goal. No, but it's hard to say. Like there's different things. There's some players that maybe not everyone thought was like the be all and end all. Like Tamati Ellison, for me, he was a hard guy to play against, but he probably didn't get as much respect. Jean de Villiers was also a hard one that I play against. Like it's really hard to just pick one. Like for me, each time that when you're playing guys at the elite level, like they're all good players, It just depends more on how successful the team was.
Yeah.
But each individual, as you take them, like as a 12 versus a 12, like they're all good players, but maybe their team doesn't function as well. So you got to look at team success as well.
I think from just me, I've got a special place in my heart for Timmy. He's the one that called me about my debut with the Wallabies, and to hear a call from one of the greats to congratulate me, and then especially to the World Cup squad as well. It's really special. So, and then you watch his highlights and you watch that team. Man, they were freaks, So, but I find it, like you said, so hard to nut down on who's the GOAT when the team's eras are so different.
Yeah.
Did Timmy tell you he'd won 2 World Cups when he called you?
No.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
If he's listening into this, he wants to hear his name.
Yeah. And the first thing
You
he'll
gotta
say
let
to you
him
is,
know.
I won 2 World Cups.
I'd beaten Nono.
Yeah.
I'd beaten Nono.
What were some of the challenges you found stepping up from Super Rugby to Test Rugby?
Less opportunities. It's either you make that opportunity count. I remember Czech always talked about staying in the moment, and I found the margin for error is so small where you make a little mistake, it can blow up in your face. So just I think for me anyway, I just simplified my game more. If it was a carry or using footwork at the line, I just made sure I did that really well and focusing that on that moment, and then just moved on from there. And but as I got older, I started to watch more clips, and you plan more things, and you just know in certain sequences what looks you want to get, and then you start watching the opposition. And I think as I got older, I just seeing tendencies of other players. Knowing what the winger likes to do or the fullback or the opposition I play, and then it just kind of helps me just be aware of what's happening, but still again staying in the moment in my job. I think that was the biggest challenge is learning that instead of where Super you got a bit more opportunities. If you made a line break and didn't complete here, you get another one. Whereas Test, it kind of minimizes to only a couple, because if you can get that break, it opens up momentum for the Test match. And didn't know how important like 3 points was, you know. Amount of times I used to watch them take 3 points and think, oh, just go for the line out. But, you know, and in a Test match, you're trying to build that momentum and that pressure, because for me, it's not the pressure of the crowd. I think it's the standards that you hold for yourself and the team. You want to win, you want to perform. And it's always hard at a Test level because, you know, again, on top of that is everyone is watching. Like you said, we're based on performance and based on results. So you want to do well.
Playing in front of your home crowd as well in Queensland, having your family there, was that sort of an emotional experience?
Yeah, the anthem was emotional, like for me, because Australia gave me and my family an opportunity to live a great life, and it's obviously flowed on to where I am today. Fiji will always be home, but I consider myself an Australian as well, because without the opportunities I got given in Australia, even with education and you know, simple things from healthcare, like my family to be able to fly my parents over, you know, the years following, for them to be the first time they've flown on a plane and, you know, didn't even know how to get out of the airport. Like, those little things are so special, and I owed that back to the Jersey and Australia for giving me the opportunity. And yeah, I had to work bloody hard for it, but you know, the opportunity wouldn't have been able to happen if it wasn't for, you know, the great nation we live in.
Is playing for Fiji something that you'd love to do, though? Like, I know you say, obviously Australia has given you a lot and you're very grateful, but you said Fiji's home. Would you like to play for them?
It's always been in my mind, and as I get older, I think about the transition if I was to be able to go back. But like, to be honest, I think because at the next World Cup I could play for them if I didn't get selected for Wallabies again. But looking at the young guys coming through and like watching Drua, it would be really hard to make their backline unless they wanted someone that had experience of years playing. And but it was something I always thought about. But I felt like I did that for under 20s, even though it's not the same. I got to represent Fiji at under 20s level with my brother, which was really special. Something I always find that it's one of my greatest achievements. Because for my family, is so proud, Fijians, and so for us to play together. But like, speaking to my old man, like, he loves the Wallabies. You know, he always calls me Wallaby. He doesn't call me by my name. He's always good morning, Wallaby. Like, you know, he's so proud. So like, for them to be able to look at myself and my brothers and say like, hey, we're from a small village in Fiji, but if you want to pursue something, you can. So it's always a hard question. Like, you know, in my mind, it would be nice, but yeah, you just never know until it crosses.
This is where, like, I think it's not even you could take someone's spot, but say you're in a squad, you could teach them so much. But we were talking about this before you came. My opinion is that if the Wallabies don't pick, say, for you as an example, could be a New Zealand player, whoever, but say the Wallabies don't pick you, a tier 1 nation, they don't pick you, I think you should then go, they've decided that they don't want to pick you in their squad, you're not good enough. You then should have the opportunity then to go to your country of birth, or, you know, play to strengthen, you know, Fiji or whoever in that World Cup. Like, you look at the Rugby League World Cup, how good that can make it. And for anyone that's going to blow up, like, they had their opportunity to select you. They didn't. And now Fiji, if they consider you good enough, you can then come in and help strengthen their team.
Yeah. You're talking about that just in a World Cup year or just in general?
Well, I suppose World Cup year is when it's the most important, because you're competing for the big trophy. Yeah. Those other smaller competitions, I'm not sure how important it is. But in the World Cup year, like, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I like the idea of it in the World Cup year as
well. I like it because because I just feel like when coaches switch countries, like, why players can't do that. They put in probably more time into a team than players as well. We just play the game, which is pretty important. But I feel like coaches can switch, like, anytime they want. They can, if it's available. And for myself, like, to switch to Fiji would probably be more of, like you said, like a guidance. If I wasn't good enough to play, I definitely want to be involved as not a backs coach, but just helping the younger generation come through. And it's something I want to do. And I remember I spoke to you about it like a long time ago, post rugby, being in that space, helping the younger generation, mentoring in that. But if I wasn't getting selected like these next 3 years, post this World Cup, it'd be definitely something I think about.
But I mean, not even waiting the 3 years.
Yeah, just I always feel like you should be allowed one change.
Yeah,
and
one
that's
joker.
it. One joker basically, and like you can use it at any time. But once you change, that's it. Like it's done.
So you have to have a 3-year stand down as the new law. Is that something you consider intentionally taking yourself out of Wallabies selection, or?
It's hard. It's hard now because with the Wallabies, I've got a few things coming up.
Match payments.
No, well,
They're one of them.
For the love.
You've got the World Cup and then the Lions Series and a home World Cup.
Yeah, it's massive.
And Olympics, sevens.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, it's all there. Com games at Melbourne. Like, there's a lot of, for Rugby Australia, there is a lot of enticement, for guys like Rugby League wanting to come over and they want to check their trade and try to get in the team and that. But I think the Lions is a big draw card as well for a lot of players. But again, like, I'm not guaranteed a spot. So if it just by time I didn't get selected, and I was just sitting down, I was sitting down for that period, then if the opportunity arises, then I'd have to think about it. But for now, I'm just trying to be fit for my club here in Japan.
You talked about it there, sevens.
Yeah,
that's something that sort of you've moved into in the last couple of years. Is that something you always sort of had eyed up?
Yeah, I've loved sevens. Like, I think Fijians grow up on sevens. Obviously, be really hard to make their sevens team. But with the Aussies, the thing with the Aussie sevens and Walshy, who gave me an opportunity, was this Giteau law wasn't around for me anyway. It was around, but it wasn't around for me because I hadn't played.
Yeah,
it's the Kerevi law now.
Yeah, they've changed.
You didn't have 60 caps.
I didn't have 60
That's
caps.
what he was waiting on.
He brought it up
It
for
was
us.
a new
That was
law.
for you to plug in.
Don't change the name.
No, it's that Giteau law wasn't available for me to go into the Wallabies, and I hadn't spoken to anyone at the Wallabies in 2021. I had spoken to Tim Walsh for about 2 years about playing sevens. So Shawnee McMahon went first, my first year there, and I wanted to do it.
Yeah, we're training. Remember Suntory
and
training?
We're watching his game. We're like, isn't he meant to be? All right, don't worry. But yeah, he played well, and he loved that opportunity. And I spoke to Walsh a lot about it, and I remember getting targets of like Broncos, and I was looking at it thinking, holy, like, these guys are fit, But I just knew, like, if I got the opportunity, I'd love to play for Australia again. And it helped me develop my game more in terms of especially the passing and tracking, which is like tracking and tackling is probably my biggest weakness in test footy and in normal games. And like, I don't know if you guys know Maurice Longbottom, but to track a guy like that who's just got mad feet at training every day and slowly get closer to tackling him, it helped me big time when I came to 15. So I owe a lot to the sevens for kind of kickstarting that Wallaby career again, because without them I wouldn't have got the opportunity.
What were some of the differences in training? Talk me through it, like around running. I've heard some seriously.
You'd hate it because this guy does because his knees, long time, but does one.
I saw him walking in here.
Yeah, it's no good, is it?
No, but like you do one unit session, right? Like if there's 2 sessions a day, he'll do the big session.
Yeah.
Right.
No double days.
But their unit session, I swear, you'd run like 5Ks, and the high speed would be close to 600-700, like.
And that's one session.
That's just their morning session. Like
morning
session might be 300-400 meters. High speed is a lot.
I'm saying that's one session.
Yeah, that's one session, and that's like a light day. I got to a stage where that was a light day, and I was like, oh, it's normal. But the first couple ones would finish, and I'll be like hanging out of my ass and going to the change rooms and that, and the boys just recover well and we'll get ready for the big session. I was like, hey, because I wouldn't look at the schedule. I'd just follow the boys, and because I injured my knee, MCL from Suntory season. I think I was like 114, 115, and I got to 107 in like 3 weeks at the sevens. Jeez. Just dropped all that weight just from running, doing heaps. I was just doing heaps of bike and extras. I knew I wanted to be a bit lighter. Just got real lean, and I wasn't really pushing a lot of big tin in the gym. But just running heaps, and the running was probably the biggest part, and it kind of helped my game again. Like I said, like that running foundation, just as a unit session, when you're running 300 high speed meters, like, and then you're running almost 700 in the big sessions, close to 7Ks, like it became nothing after a while.
The funny thing about, we're talking about what his optimum weight is. Whenever we're in Wallaby camp, we'd be weighing in every Monday morning for the week.
Here it is. And
we'd be going to the gym, and so like he'd be stripping down chains off, like bracelets off, everything off, just in his undies, And then if he didn't hit his target weight, he just like
Walk off.
slink off like real like upset and tired, like wouldn't say anything. Sometimes you're like, boys, I'm not having lunch. But then, mate, I'll tell you, if he hit his target weight and was what he was supposed to be, you'd hear him from like a mile away. Yes, boys. Yeah.
It's always Thursday mornings. Like all the island boys get weighed in because after the day off, and the day off, man, try to be real. Like I've learned now to be real good on the day off and eat whatever after the game. But back in the day, no good, man. Fried rice, chicken.
Yeah, but some guys also are just better, bigger. Like I remember
Yeah.
Mark Gerard once, like back at the Brums, they got him real lean. He had a good pre-season and he hated it. He couldn't play well because he was feeling the bumps way too much.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
needed a little bit more. So it's also like,
Positional wise,
yeah, you just got to know. Like it'll get to a stage now, you've been playing long enough, you know, okay, I can get to 114, I'm still all right. If I get to 116, maybe it's too much. Like it starts to get like, once you know your body after a period of time, you don't necessarily have to fit the mold of where you need to be, you know.
And it's funny, like every time, I think when I ran on the game, I was watching our game again, and I came on and like, you know, they put on your weight and height and stuff, and they've been writing 106 and 108 on my weight. I'm like, man,
You don't like that?
I'm double that.
Yeah,
Like,
but are you happy with that?
Oh, I'm
Or-
happy with that.
Yeah,
I
you
hope they
prefer
think.
to see a lighter one.
Yeah,
See, if they gave me like a 70 or something, I'd be filthy. I'm like, at least give me 80.
What do
like,
they put for your height?
I'm taller than you.
I'm just saying.
Taller than Willie.
Your height,
Yeah.
your height, what do they
Mine's
put for-
just taller
What
than
do they
Willie.
What do they put for your height? Tell the
No,
truth.
I'm 178.
Just looking, Samu, at you playing sevens and the Giteau law and everything. Obviously, when you left Australia, Giteau law didn't apply to you. You didn't know about the sevens. You basically made the decision that your Wallabies career was over at that stage. That must have been a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I think I always had in my mind that I might come back.
Yeah.
If it was right, like if everything worked out in terms of contracting and all that. But once I got to Japan, like you just enjoy the lifestyle here, and probably the time off is the biggest thing. Both of you would speak highly about it, like time off to work on your body. But I ended up not, like Shawnee McMahon always makes fun of me because I keep talking about time off, but I end up going back and doing something. But yeah, it was just hard because, like you said, with the Giteau law, I wasn't sure if I could get another opportunity, but I knew what I was giving up. And I speak to that. A lot of the boys always ask me about coming to Japan when I go home, and I'm like, if you're gonna come, you have to understand what you're giving up. Like, there's no guarantee of getting picked up later or getting a contract back home after playing in Japan. But what surprised me the last couple of years is Japan rugby has like leveled up a lot, and you can see it with the national team at the last World Cup. So it's just you end up enjoying it your time over here.
But in saying that, you did get the chance to play for the Wallabies again.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't plan for that. Just kind of happened out of, I think they had a lot of injuries in that, so they needed the centre to come in, and the timing of everything. I think Hunter was having a baby, a lot of the boys were injured, and because of COVID, they couldn't just grab someone from another state and bring him in. Because I was flying in from Tokyo, did my 2-week quarantine, I could go straight into Perth, and it just kind of worked out. And luckily for me, the boys played well. 5
tests that year, nominated for World Rugby Player of the Year.
Yeah, it wasn't fair for a lot of the other players that's played the whole season. I don't know how they judge those awards, but I was grateful for being nominated, but I didn't think I did enough in 5 games to just be nominated for that. I was along with a lot of other great players, and like I said, grateful for it, but he's just...
Okay, so wait,
Mate, he's saying the right stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
He always does.
No,
I told you, I warned
Drew's
you.
actually he's one of the people that vote. So it's all ex-international players.
Is he?
Yeah.
he's got a lot of power.
Oh, so you're coming back in that year. Did you feel like any sense of pressure? Or like any self-doubt coming in thinking, can I still do this? Or I need to prove myself because I might be taking someone else's opportunity. Like, was there any kind of head noise around that space?
Oh, no, because I didn't expect to play. So the first meeting I had with Rennes, they were just saying, I remember I just came out of 2-week quarantine. Hadn't ran for 2 weeks, but JP had me on this program, this crazy program. And the boys got there like 3 days later, and then we did this conditioning block, and I was just smoking it. Like 60 meters, you'd be happy, you'd be proud. 60 meters, 10 on, 10 off, and just 2 sets, just smoked it.
I'm proud.
And they kept saying, it was the sevens. I was like, I don't know if it was just the sevens, but I had no pressure on me to play. Even Quade would feel the same. Like, we didn't need to be there. Like, we were just Japanese players that would just come in to bulk the squad up because they had a few injuries. So I was happy to just hold pads and just play trainings and whatnot. And if I got the opportunity, I would. So, and you guys would get it. Like playing here in Japan, there's no pressure. There's no media around it. Crowds are just, they love you, win or lose or draw. So like you don't look at social media and see your name popping up with news feeds and that. So my mindset was that I had an opportunity to maybe play, but if not, at least I'll be fit for preseason when I got back to Suntory. So, and then yeah, weirdly enough, they told me you might play maybe the South Africa week, and then I ended up playing that week against the All Blacks in Perth. So that was a bit of muck around.
You boys got up too, didn't you? You win that one?
No, we lost.
Played well that game. I remember watching it.
Yeah, the boys played well. No, they did. The boys. I don't know. Quade got that kick in that first game.
We're not interviewing the boys here.
Yeah, credit to the boys.
Yeah, like come on.
Summer, eh? Credit
There's
to the boys.
so much of this. We get it. You love the boys. Credit to the boys.
No, yeah, it was. Oh, I think it was the game plan. Rand's had a great game plan, but Quade and I's relationship, because I've played with him, like we can have a go at each other if we don't feel like something's right, but we just kind of fell in sync because Quade has changed a lot from where he was, similar to this guy, and both of you actually, to where he gave me a lot of power. So, not in terms of like how to talk to people, it's just like in terms of the game, he didn't want to hold all the load and make all the decisions. He gave me decisions to make, and then I gave it to Rennie, and we shared it. And then when we ended up sharing it, everyone felt empowered to like take on that responsibility. And it just made my game more simple because, like I said, in certain parts of the game, I just wanted the ball and I got it. Whereas other parts where sometimes a 10 might want to take all control of it, which is fine. We ended up sharing the load and it just worked out for that year and for those games.
And you would have gone quite a while between playing games with Quade.
Yeah.
What were some of those big differences that you noticed? You've already touched on one there.
Oh, just him personally. Like as a man, I think he's grounded himself in whatever it is, and it's changed how he is as a person, but also how he's still a competitive guy. Like he still pushes people, he still wants excellence from everyone. But I think how he delivers things now is a lot different. He's not telling them to go home like he used to, or really, Gits probably at Suntory as well. Like,
I never told you to go home. By the way,
nah, he never told me to go home just to get fitter. But like, yeah, I think because it just matched that group at the time. And I had a conversation with Hoops on the first day I got to camp, just like how I see the differences in the group, and had a good conversation there. So I think that combo became natural for Quade and I because we had no pressure on us. Like we didn't have to be there if we if we didn't want to be there, didn't have to be there. So for us just to get the opportunity to play was a blessing, and then we just made sure we got the best out of the boys.
You can just play footy because you've got a contract.
Yeah.
So a lot of those boys that are only in Australia, that's where a lot of your money comes from when you're playing internationally. So you want to play well, you want to be in the squad because you need it. Not so much you need it, like you're not on the bones, but these boys, your contract, it's actually, you're probably better off financially if you stayed in Japan and didn't go there, so you don't necessarily need it. It's amazing when you take that pressure off how much more relaxed you are.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly it. Like a lot of that was that we were sweet no matter how we went. Our team at Japan still loved us. We were still killing it in Japan, and like I remember my granddad, he's always watched the news a lot, and he was saying, they're saying that you and Quade are not gonna play well, because you've been playing at a lower level. And I think people forget how quick like Japan rugby is. So yeah, the level of physicality might not be the same, but the speed of ball was so quick at training, and especially at Suntory, like you're having to be really quick with your decision making. Even when I was playing with Gits, like he was playing 10, I was playing 12, like had to make my decisions real quick, or if he was playing 12, I had to give him comms real quick because the ball was just coming out so fast. So when we went back, that combo made it easier because he's played in Japan, I played in Japan. But yeah, I felt like that was the pressure thing that helped us, have such a good season that season. And obviously, like I said, the contracting was sweet either way.
What was Dave Rennie like as a coach?
It was great, man. Probably one of the best coaches I've had in terms of how he saw the game and the learnings I got from him in terms of how he saw counter was like a set piece, and it's something I had never thought about. Like, it was funny until you learned that from someone else, and the way he saw the game, and he had a job, and they were really diligent around their work, where they said if the gap is there, the gap is there. And funny enough, they show us the tape, the gap was there, and we didn't take it or didn't take opportunities. So it's probably one of the best coaches I've had, and to learn from him was awesome. And the culture he brings to the team was a lot different to Czech and the past coaches, where he included, because we have a big Pacific Island indigenous group that comes into the Wallabies, and we're not just like straight Aussies, we're different cultures that come together, and he embraced all that, which is pretty cool to see.
What do you think let him down? Because like I've had a lot of conversations, Dave Rennie that is, with Quade. So like rugby now is very much system footy, right? Like it's what you were talking about earlier. Like what looks you're looking at based on like where you've hit in the field, based on what your system allows you to do, and you'll know where you have numbers right. But what do you think let Dave down? Was it the fact that the playing group wasn't up to standard as far as wanting to play that style of footy, or was it just like him as a coach, or not being able to implement it?
He had massive injuries too. Like
lots
of injuries. There was massive turnovers.
It'd be that the players like that, and that's not disrespect to anyone that came in. It's just the way he saw the game. Like you both played with KB. When he sees something, it's hard for him to explain it, like to certain guys, but he's seeing the right image, but he just doesn't know how to explain it. Whereas Dave explained it, but guys just couldn't see it. So like the way we wanted to play the game was, it wasn't robotic, but it was to express yourself in this framework. And I think the options we took to express it, or we fall back on habits that didn't work. And it was just micro decisions, because you watch France and all those, like we should have won 3 of those games. Ireland, France, should have beaten Italy. Just little decisions that, because like you said, the depth that we had, I thought he'd done a great job for the amount of injuries we had. I remember seeing something about, we had a whole list, a full 23 team that was all starters that could have been started for the Wallabies, all injured. Like that, just, it's hard for that to go against you in a test level, like you said, because we get judged on results. Photos, like it was hard for him to get let go when, because the boys all loved him, like the team loved him. The way we played was awesome, and felt like it was pretty tough, especially for a World Cup year coming up.
Yeah, Quade speaks really highly of him. And like especially really highly of the style of footy that he wanted to play.
Yeah, it would suit you too.
Yeah, well, so we play the similar way at our club, because Quade's essentially implemented a lot of things that they've done. I really enjoy it. But yeah, it just seemed like I think you hit the nail on the head. Like a couple of times when you're in pressure situations, guys probably fall back on old habits as opposed to,
or their team's habits that they play
as
with.
Opposed to embracing. Yeah,
embracing, like, when you run a short ball and you tell a young fella like it's gonna be there, but the whole time it's closed, it's not there, and then the last minute it opens.
It's like those little blind lines.
Yeah, the blind lines, like it's there. You've just got to trust me. I've watched enough tape to tell you it's gonna be there. Like for gory and stuff, you know, like you love that gory shit. Where
you got to stop. This is on camera, like.
Oh yeah, you can't tell our secrets.
Yeah,
sorry, but that stuff like that, in terms of the game plan, it was there. It was just hard to like trust it all the way through, because then when it gets pressure, like you said, you kind of like, oh no, I won't do that. I'll just tuck in. Like it's so there.
To hear.
Well, I covered a lot. I did the end of season tour. Like I was on a bit of TV work, and the France game they should have won. They just couldn't close it out.
Yeah,
Ireland exact same. It was only at the back end when they'd make maybe the wrong decision, or they couldn't exit well, or whatever. It was only real small things.
Yeah,
they're number 1 and 2 in the world, and with the amount of injuries and people that we had at home, I was a bit surprised as well to see Dave get sacked. Like with the people that you can bring back in, plus the results that we had, and this was against France in France. Like I always say, I think we got a really good shot at the World Cup as well, based off that I saw.
And they beat the Springboks. They probably should have beaten the All Blacks.
Yeah, but it's just up and down. That's the thing when you get with young guys or inexperienced players, or you've got so much turnover, is that inconsistency.
Yeah, because
so as soon as we can find consistency,
it's hard. Like the biggest thing coming into Wallaby squad is like alignment for all players. And if you've played with each other for a couple of years, like you kind of just you're in sync kind of thing. Whereas when you're bringing new guys, they're learning a new way, but then they're, like you said, they're falling back to their habits, which is always hard at a test level because, like I said before, if you make a mistake and it's a little crack, it can blow up to be this big thing in the game. And you look at the whole game and you always look back and be like, oh, if we just got that turnover or we held the ball and exited well, this wouldn't happen. But it's so hard when you're getting a lot of guys coming in, new players. So yeah, I was shocked for him to not be there, like not to be here this year. But now we've got big dog Eddie. So
Yeah. Good luck.
Have you had conversations with Eddie?
Yeah. We talked about Gits the whole time. Just how great he was.
Wouldn't be too long.
Grade 9, grade 10, grade 12.
No, he didn't play me.
I took that kid out for when he was playing club rugby.
He did, actually. He moved me from 9 into centres. It's when all centres were built like him. I was the only small one there. Anyway, yep. Sorry, Eddie. Yeah.
It's not about you, mate.
No,
This isn't about you.
You give me an opportunity.
Nah, but Eddie's been awesome. Been real supportive of, I've been really appreciative of whole of Rugby Australia in terms of the Eddie and the team, like with my injury and helping me come back. JP there at Suntory, so it's helped me heaps to come back this season, and obviously moving forward, however that looks. So right now I'm just focused on playing for Suntory, and then hopefully if I get selected. Yeah.
Just going back a couple of seasons when you did return to the Wallabies, obviously you played that rugby championship, and then you made the decision to withdraw for the spring tour.
Yeah.
Can you talk us a little bit through that decision?
Yeah, it was an easy decision in the end. The club was happy for me to play, but it was just out of respect for them. Like the original talks I had with Rugby Australia was just the rugby championship, and then that was it. Like I said, I hadn't spoken to anyone before that. I told Suntory about Olympics and Olympics only. So when that conversation came, they were happy. They were happy for me to play Wallabies, and we obviously had a great season. And did a little ankle at the end of it, which was like a couple of weeks. But you got to remember who we're employed by. They deserve as much respect as the Wallabies, and it's not us not wanting to play for the jersey. It's just that when we put the jerseys down, these guys are the ones that are, still employing us. So that was an easy decision for Sean and I. I don't know if Quade was in the same. I think Quade was in the same boat. But yeah, it was pretty easy in the end.
Yeah, you can't take the piss. You paid, I think, especially from a Japanese point of view, knowing Suntory well, they're not going to get in the way of any player if a player wants to do something. So they won't ever say no. But you know that they would love. I mean, you're a big part. You've only got so many foreign spots you can fill. If you're going to send 2 of them away to go play for the Wallabies, you're kind of sacrificing your season at the start of the year.
Yeah.
So I kind of, as much as they wouldn't have said no, if I was in a similar position, I would have done the right thing out of respect. Because this is your employer, It's also a World Cup year.
Yeah.
I think that's very different to a spring tour.
Yeah.
Spring tour happens every other year.
Yeah.
World Cup's once every 4 years. So, to ask your club for leave once every 4 years, if I was the owner of the club, I'd say, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. But every year on a spring tour when you're trying to start your season, because that's when the season starts.
Spring tour is hard.
So I think World Cup's totally different.
So currently you're available for the Wallabies for the whole year. Is that the plan?
If I definitely get selected in that, I'll put my hand up for most of the year.
Yeah. And looking at next season, switching to the D-Rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, did you consider
Kintetsu.
making a return? Did you consider going
Kintetsu's-
back to Kintetsu or going back to Australia?
Kintetsu broke the bank on 2 of their players, so they had no money. I think they're selling a couple of their trains to pay the boys. Poor fellas. I definitely had a lot of interest to go home. All 4 teams were interested except the Reds at the time, which was all good. I think they were pretty packed in the centres, and they didn't really need any more centres. So
They didn't need one of the world's best centres.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was I was definitely looking at wanting to come back to the Reds if it was a possibility. It's home,
Is that right? You'd like to go back and play Super Rugby, or you feel like you've already done that?
It's hard because I wanted to play Super Rugby because I wanted to win a title.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's the only thing that will bring me back. Just feel like unfinished business there. But I felt like for personal, because I can't win a super title by myself.
Yeah,
I can't do that. But in terms of personal goals of wanting to dominate Super Rugby, I felt like I'd done most of that. For me, where I set goals each year, I knocked them off. And I felt like like I didn't want to do Kevin Durant and go to the team that was going to win one and just win one for myself. It was more like winning at the Reds would have been special because it was a club that gave me my first crack. When Reds obviously didn't come to the table, which was fine, the next best team was who I wanted to partner up with in the centres for Wallabies, because obviously if I was going to sign back for a couple of years, and that was Rennie.
Yeah.
And he's obviously there at the Brums, and they have an awesome organisation there. I spoke to all the coaches and managers there. Really grateful for that, because guys like from Perth, they flew up just to have a conversation, and spoke to all of them, Stylesy in Melbourne, and obviously Bernie at the Brums, and even in Sydney went to speak to the Tars. And when I was telling some of my mates about the Tars, they were like, "Nah, there's no way you can play for the Tars."
You can't be going there.
Yeah,
man.
it was,
I'll live with you going to the Brums, but not the Tars.
yeah. The only reason it was hard to go to Tars is because they had great centers already with Izzy and Lion. Lars having a exceptional year this year. Perth was hard because it's just a bit far, but like they're having some like good games, but probably I ended up thinking about Melbourne and Brumbies in the end, just in terms of development and wanting to get better. And obviously the Brums have been going well, but to go there, big shadows, big shoes to fill, playing one of the greatest centers in Australian rugby, at the Brums.
Big yen to fill. Couldn't get there.
But it didn't work out in the end with Rugby Australia, because the teams, I could talk to the teams, but at the end of the day, it was Rugby Australia's decision in terms of the contract and the numbers and everything. So yeah, it just didn't work out.
And so D-Rock's Big Easy Folau.
Yep, signed there for the next 2 years, and Big Easy's there, so it'd be awesome to connect back with him.
And you boys will be playing Div 2?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm really gutted for them.
Yeah.
They obviously lost to Kintetsu. The 9 and 10 the Queensland Rangers put it on, and
Kicking goals.
Kicking goals on and off
like
the field.
Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, gutted there. We going to second div, but it's great time for me just to get better there and help hopefully transform that team.
What's your mindset around that? Like I remember, just speaking from experience when we were playing Division 2s, it takes a lot of mental strength to still train at a certain level and maintain your discipline habits, just because you're probably beating every team like 80-0. You'll have the end goal of still playing for Wallabies each and every year. Is that going to be something that makes sure that you're disciplined in your training ethic, your habits?
I don't think it's the Wallabies that'll keep me wanting to hold that. I think it's like, I don't want to blow steam up your ass, but like what you taught me when we were young.
You've been doing that to Gits this whole interview. Why not? Why can't you give me something?
No, because you take it.
100%.
I don't accept it.
100%. No. Sorry.
I love rugby. Like I love playing footy. And I love playing at a high level for myself so I can contribute to the team as best as I can. If I just go to second div and just cruise, I feel like I'm not doing justice to the craft and not doing justice to, I guess, like what my parents have helped me to get to. I want to be one of the best centers that's played the game for me, not for accolades or anything. Just I want to know when I finish playing footy, I've gave everything I had. So even though there'll be a challenge mentally, like you said, playing for yourself, playing the last couple of seasons there and coming up in the first div, it's a great challenge for me to bring that team and hold standards for myself where hopefully it rubs off on the team and the group.
Before we finish up, Samu, you've been here for about 3 years now, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
What have been sort of the highlights of being here in Japan?
Again, definitely playing with some great players. Play with Gits, 3 All Black fly halves now, and David McKenzie, Bodie Barrett, and now Aaron Cruden. And then you just like find new relationships with them and find, I think for me, in terms of on field, just learning habits from Gits, Bodie, like D-Mac and that, and Cruds, and just seeing great players go through their thing throughout a week and taking little things that you can take for yourself if it works for you. I've always been an open book, and I've always been, glass half full, where I just want to get better. And I've learned a lot from Queensland Reds days and through the Wallabies, and now here in Suntory. I never thought I'd play with the great players I have, and even learning a lot from the Japanese boys. Their work ethic is crazy. They spend more time at the clubhouse than I see other boys. I think us foreigners are probably one of the first guys to be out of there. No shower, just straight at home. But to see them put their time into their work, it's been inspiration for me, and hopefully just keep developing my game while I'm here.
Must be nice spending time with your brothers as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a big reason why I came here. Besides I'll be honest, full disclosure, besides the yen, it was my brothers. I've spent more time with them these last 3 years than I have in my whole life. So to see my little brother, the back end of him finishing university, he's got a baby now, so him being a dad and both of them getting married. Everyone.
I was at Hong Kong too. Your brother playing for
he played for Sevens,
playing for the Japanese team.
Yeah, he played for Japan now, and he's been here for about 11 years. So I always thought about coming to Japan, but for it to come to full fruition now and spend time with them, it's definitely, in terms of off field, it's probably the best thing I've had, and the times with the boys, full credit.
Awesome. Well, I think we can wrap up there. Thank you so much, Samu, for joining us today. It's been awesome having you on the pod, and good luck for the World Cup and for your new team.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for having me, and hopefully be there in September.